Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. There are signs, red flags, that show you when somebody just doesn't value you. And I'm not talking about a little disagreement or an off day, no. No, I'm talking about the things that scream loud and clear that you are not a priority in their life. Now, I know y'all have heard this before. Well, Steve, how do I know if a man values me? Baby, I'm about to break it down for you. When it comes to relationships, one of the most important things to look for is clarity. If you're constantly unsure about where you stand, whether he's into you, or if he genuinely cares, that's a red flag. You should never have to guess someone's feelings, especially in a romantic relationship. If a man truly values you, he won't leave you in the dark, constantly wondering whether you matter to him or not. In the early stages of a relationship, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the connection, but it's also a time when the signs of how much someone values you will show up. Think about it. If he's interested, if he sees potential in you both, he's going to make sure you know. He'll show up when he says he will. He'll make time for you, and he'll communicate openly. There won't be any games, no ambiguity. A man who values you doesn't make you chase him, doesn't make you question whether he likes you, or if he's just passing time. Now, if you're constantly sitting there waiting for him to text you back, wondering why he hasn't called, or questioning why he canceled plans without explanation, that's a huge red flag. You can't keep giving your time and energy to someone who isn't offering you the same level of clarity and commitment in return. Relationships, especially the ones that are meant to last, require openness. If he's genuinely interested in building something with you, he will communicate that through both his words and his actions. You won't be left feeling unsure or uncertain about where you stand. It's also important to realize that clarity doesn't just mean getting the occasional "Hey, how's it going?" or "I'm thinking of you." It means that he consistently checks in, values your time together, and makes sure you feel included and important. A man who values you will want to keep you in the loop. If there's something going on in his life, he'll share it with you. You won't feel like you're the last to know, or that you're playing second fiddle to his other commitments. You'll feel like a priority, not an afterthought. Another aspect of clarity is being able to have honest conversations about where the relationship is going. If he's truly invested in you, he'll be open about his intentions and won't leave you wondering. This is not to say that everything needs to be perfect or figured out right away. Relationships take time to grow and evolve, but there needs to be mutual understanding and communication about what's happening. If you're left in the dark, unsure of his feelings or where things stand, it creates unnecessary anxiety and confusion. It's emotionally draining to be constantly wondering if you're on the same page. Being in a relationship with someone who values you means you feel secure, not constantly questioning your worth or wondering if you're wasting your time. A man who values you doesn't keep you in limbo. He's upfront about his feelings, his actions match his words, and you don't have to guess if you're important to him. You should feel seen, heard, and appreciated, and that clarity will give you the peace of mind to move forward in a healthy relationship. It's also worth noting that the absence of clarity can create doubt and mistrust, and that's not a foundation for any healthy relationship. If you're feeling unsure about a man's feelings toward you, it's important to trust your instincts. Don't convince yourself that things are fine just because you want them to be. Your heart and your intuition are powerful guides. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't settle for a relationship where you're constantly left guessing. Remember, a man who truly values you will not only make his feelings known, but will also put in the effort to make you feel confident in the relationship. In conclusion, Clarity is key when it comes to understanding how much someone values you. A man who values you will never leave you wondering where you stand. He will be clear in his intentions, consistent in his actions, and committed to open communication. Anything less than that is a sign that you deserve more. Never settle for ambiguity in a relationship, because you deserve to feel secure, valued, and understood. Respect and effort are two of the most fundamental pillars in any relationship, and when a man truly values you, these elements should be consistently present. If you find yourself in a relationship where respect is lacking, or where you're the one putting in all the effort, that's a major red flag. It's not enough for someone to just say they value you. Their actions need to back up their words, and the effort they put into the relationship should reflect their feelings for you. Let's start with respect. Respect in a relationship goes beyond just being polite or avoiding major conflicts. It's about recognizing and honoring each other's individuality, boundaries, and needs. A man who values you will never treat you as though you're disposable, insignificant, or less than he is. He'll treat you with kindness, acknowledge your thoughts and feelings, and ensure that you feel heard and understood. Respect also means not belittling or dismissing your opinions, your dreams, or your aspirations. When a man truly values you, he lifts you up instead of tearing you down. If you find yourself constantly being disrespected, whether it's through rude comments, dismissive behavior, or someone failing to consider your feelings, that's a red flag that needs to be addressed. A man who values you will make the effort to ensure that you feel respected and valued. He won't ignore your feelings or make you feel small. Instead, he will show empathy, understanding, and thoughtfulness in all aspects of your relationship. Respect also extends to how he treats others. If you're in a relationship with a man who treats others poorly, whether it's the waiter at the restaurant, his friends, or his family, there's a good chance that sooner or later that disrespect will extend to you too. A man who is truly respectful will treat others with the same consideration and kindness that he shows to you. He recognizes that respect isn't something you can pick and choose when to give. It's a fundamental part of his character. Now let's talk about effort. A relationship requires effort from both parties involved. It's easy to feel like you're giving your all, doing everything you can to make the relationship work. But if the other person isn't putting in the same level of effort, you're going to feel drained and unappreciated. A man who values you will actively participate in the relationship. He won't just sit back and expect you to do all the work. Whether it's planning dates, having deep conversations, or simply showing up when you need him, a man who is invested in the relationship will demonstrate that with consistent effort. One of the clearest signs of a man who values you is his willingness to prioritize you. If you're the one always making the effort to make plans or initiate contact, you're likely not dealing with someone who values the relationship as much as you do. A man who truly values you will take the initiative. He'll make sure to carve out time for you in his busy schedule, and he'll show that you're a priority in his life. Effort also means being there for you during tough times. A man who values you won't disappear when the going gets tough. He'll show up even when things aren't perfect and be there to support you. This support is not just emotional, but can extend to practical aspects of your life, like helping out when you're having a difficult day at work, or simply being a listening ear when you need to vent. If he's only around when it's convenient or when everything is going well, it's a sign that he's not fully committed. Another aspect of effort is growth. A relationship should evolve and grow over time. A man who values you will not only work to keep things exciting and fresh, but will also put in the effort to better himself for the sake of the relationship. This might mean working on his communication skills, learning how to be more emotionally available, or striving to understand your needs and desires better. Relationships are about mutual growth, and a man who truly values you will want to grow with you, not just alongside you. Ultimately, when you're with someone who values you, you'll feel appreciated. You'll feel like the effort you put into the relationship is reciprocated. You won't feel like you're constantly carrying the emotional load alone, or that you're the only one trying to make things work. A man who values you shows that he cares through consistent actions, not just empty promises or fleeting gestures. If you're ever in doubt about how much someone values you, look at their actions, not just their words. Are they showing up for you? Are they treating you with respect and putting in effort? If the answer is no, then it's time to evaluate if you're truly being valued in the way that you deserve. Waiting for someone to change is a common trap that many people fall into, especially in relationships. There's a tendency to believe that love can transform a person, or that if you stick around long enough, they will eventually come around and meet you halfway. However, if you find yourself waiting for a man to change or get it together, that's a huge red flag, and it's time to take a step back and reassess the situation. The reality is that change doesn't happen unless both parties are truly committed to it. A person can't be forced to change, and no matter how much you hope or wish for them to improve, it's not something you can control. When you're in a relationship with someone, it's essential to accept them as they are, not for who you think they could become if only they tried harder. If you're spending all your time waiting for a man to change in order to meet your expectations, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and frustration. Think about this for a second. If a man truly values you, he will make efforts to align his actions with your needs and desires, not because you're asking him to change, but because he recognizes the value of your happiness and wants to contribute to that. He will make the necessary adjustments, whether it's in how he communicates, how he spends time with you, or how he supports you. Change, when it's coming from a place of love and respect, is organic. It's not something that should be demanded or forced. If he truly values you, he will want to better himself, not just for the relationship, but for himself as well. But if he's not putting in that effort, and you're the one waiting for him to come around, that's a red flag. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that time will make the difference. You might think, well, he's not where I want him to be right now, but with time he'll change, he'll understand. But time alone doesn't change anything. In fact, it can often make things worse as you continue to pour your energy into someone who isn't making any effort to meet you where you are. You can't wait for someone to change indefinitely, especially when you're the only one putting in the effort. That's not a partnership. That's one person dragging the other along, hoping that someday they'll be on the same level. Waiting for someone to change often means putting your own needs, desires, and happiness on hold. You might tell yourself, it's worth the wait, or I can deal with it for now as long as things improve in the future. But this mindset is unhealthy and unsustainable. You deserve someone who values you enough to make the effort from the start. If you're constantly waiting for him to get it together, you're not allowing yourself the opportunity to experience a healthy, balanced relationship where both partners are equally invested in each other's growth and well-being. Furthermore, waiting for someone to change often means you're excusing behaviors that are problematic or toxic. Maybe he's not emotionally available, maybe he's inconsistent, or maybe he doesn't treat you with the respect you deserve. And yet, you continue to make excuses for him, telling yourself that it will get better over time. This kind of thinking is dangerous because it can lead you to overlook serious issues that should be addressed early on. It's not your responsibility to fix someone or wait around for them to become the person you want them to be. It's their responsibility to put in the effort to change if they truly want to. If you find yourself constantly waiting for a man to change, you're essentially telling yourself that you're willing to settle for less than you deserve. You're putting your life on hold, hoping that things will improve, but at the cost of your own happiness. In reality, the best thing you can do is to take charge of your own life and not wait for someone else to make the necessary changes. A man who truly values you won't leave you waiting. He'll recognize your worth and will be motivated to improve the relationship for the sake of both of you. Remember, change takes time, but it also takes a willingness to grow. If a man isn't showing signs of growth or effort and you're just waiting for him to get it together, you're wasting your time. You deserve someone who's already aligned with your values. Someone who doesn't need to change drastically to make the relationship work. So, stop waiting for change to happen and start investing in yourself. Recognize that if a man doesn't see the value in you right now, he may never see it, and that's a truth you need to accept. Your happiness, growth, and well-being shouldn't depend on someone else's ability to change. Instead, focus on creating a life that's fulfilling for you and trust that the right person will come along who's ready to meet you where you are without needing to be fixed. Emotional availability is one of the most important aspects of a healthy and thriving relationship. It's the foundation for deep connection, trust, and mutual understanding. When a man values you, he will be emotionally present and accessible, offering you the support, empathy, and care you deserve. If, however, you find that a man is emotionally distant or unavailable, that's a clear red flag that needs to be addressed immediately. Emotional availability isn't just about being physically present. It's about being mentally and emotionally engaged, ready to invest in the relationship, and genuinely interested in understanding and connecting with you on a deeper level. A man who values you will take the time to listen to you, not just with his ears, but with his heart. When you share your thoughts, feelings, or concerns, he will give you his full attention. He will make the effort to understand where you're coming from and not dismiss or ignore your emotions. In contrast, a man who is emotionally unavailable may show little to no interest in what you have to say, or he may avoid having important conversations altogether. If every time you try to talk about your feelings, he shuts down or avoids the topic, that's a strong indication that he's not emotionally invested in the relationship. Emotional unavailability can take many forms. It may look like a man who constantly keeps you at arm's length, never allowing you to get too close. It may be a man who is unable or unwilling to express his emotions, leaving you in the dark about how he really feels. It might also show up as a man who is quick to shut down emotionally when things get tough or when there's conflict. Instead of engaging with you in a healthy, productive way, he may retreat, withdraw, or shut down entirely. When this happens, you're left feeling confused, isolated, and unsupported, which can be emotionally draining over time. Being in a relationship with someone who is emotionally unavailable can be frustrating because you're left putting in all the emotional work while the other person remains distant or detached. It can feel as though you're trying to connect, but no matter how hard you try, you can't break through the emotional wall he's built around himself. This kind of dynamic can lead to feelings of loneliness and dissatisfaction, even if you're physically together. Emotional intimacy is a crucial part of any healthy relationship, and if it's lacking, it's going to be difficult to build any kind of meaningful connection. It's also important to note that emotional availability is not just about being there for you in good times. A man who truly values you will be there for you during the difficult times as well. Whether you're dealing with personal struggles, career challenges, or emotional stress, he will be there to support you and provide a safe space for you to express your feelings. He won't shy away from tough conversations or difficult emotions. Instead, he will meet you with empathy and a willingness to understand. He will be willing to share in your emotional load, offering comfort and reassurance when needed. This kind of emotional availability is essential for building trust and a sense of safety in the relationship. In contrast, an emotionally unavailable man may only show up when things are easy or fun, but when difficulties arise, he may disappear or become distant. He may avoid conversations about your feelings or the state of the relationship, leaving you to carry the emotional burden on your own. This can lead to an imbalanced dynamic, where you're left feeling like you're the only one putting in emotional energy while he remains detached or indifferent. Over time, this imbalance can erode the foundation of the relationship and leave you questioning whether you're truly valued or cared for. One of the key signs that a man is emotionally unavailable is his reluctance to commit or invest in the relationship. If he avoids talking about the future, makes excuses for not being able to commit, or keeps the relationship in a constant state of uncertainty, it's a clear indication that he's not ready or willing to open up emotionally. A man who values you will be eager to build a future with you, to make plans, and to invest emotionally in your connection. He won't be afraid of commitment or intimacy because he understands that these things are necessary for the relationship to grow and flourish. If you're constantly feeling like you're the only one emotionally invested in the relationship, it's important to recognize that this is a significant red flag. You deserve to be with someone who is emotionally available, who is willing to share his feelings with you and show up for you when you need him most. Don't settle for emotional detachment, because that kind of relationship will only leave you feeling empty and unfulfilled. When a man truly values you, he will be emotionally available, ready to engage with you on a deeper level, and fully committed to building a meaningful and lasting connection. In conclusion, emotional availability is a critical component of any successful relationship. If a man is emotionally unavailable, it's a sign that he's not ready to truly connect with you on the level you deserve. You need someone who is not only physically present, but also emotionally present, engaged, and invested in building a strong, supportive relationship. A man who values you will show up for you emotionally, creating a foundation of trust, intimacy, and mutual respect. If you're not getting this emotional connection, it's time to reassess the relationship and recognize that you deserve more. Recognizing your own worth is one of the most important steps in cultivating a healthy, fulfilling relationship. When you value yourself, you are setting the standard for how you expect to be treated by others, including a man you might be in a relationship with. Unfortunately, many people find themselves in relationships where they accept less than they deserve, often due to a lack of self-worth or fear of being alone. If you're constantly feeling undervalued or unappreciated in a relationship, it's essential to take a step back and remember your own value. You deserve someone who respects, cherishes, and values you for who you are, and when you start recognizing that, you'll stop settling for less. Self-worth doesn't come from external validation. It comes from within. It's about understanding and accepting yourself fully, knowing that you are deserving of love, respect, and happiness. When you truly value yourself, you don't tolerate disrespectful behavior, emotional neglect, or manipulation. You recognize that you are worthy of being treated with kindness, empathy, and honesty. This self-recognition is crucial because it shapes how you approach relationships. If you don't believe in your own worth, you may find yourself clinging to unhealthy relationships, hoping that over time things will change or that the other person will eventually recognize your value. But here's the reality. If a man doesn't value you from the beginning, he's unlikely to change. Yourself. Worth should not be contingent upon someone else's opinion of you. Recognizing your own worth means setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not about building walls, but about creating a space where you can protect your emotional and mental well-being. When you know your worth, you understand that it's okay to say no to things that don't align with your values or don't bring you joy. You don't feel the need to overextend yourself to gain someone's approval or affection. Instead, you prioritize your own needs and ensure that your relationship is built on mutual respect, understanding, and trust. A person who truly values you will respect your boundaries without hesitation, while someone who doesn't respect you may try to push you past your limits, believing they can get away with it. When you have a strong sense of self-worth, you also stop making excuses for other people's poor behavior. If a man consistently treats you badly, doesn't make an effort, or shows you little respect, you'll be less likely to rationalize his actions or tell yourself that he'll change. Instead, you'll be able to identify that his behavior is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reflection of his character. You will stop believing that his mistreatment is somehow your fault, or that you need to tolerate it because he has potential. When you recognize your worth, you'll walk away from situations where you're not treated well, trusting that you deserve better and are worthy of a partner who will show you the respect and care you deserve. Another key aspect of recognizing your own worth is practicing self-love and self-care. This isn't about being arrogant or selfish, but about investing in your own happiness, health, and well-being. When you love yourself, you make choices that reflect that love. You pursue your passions, take care of your body, and nurture your mental health. You invest in relationships that uplift and support you, and you avoid relationships that drain you or make you feel inadequate. Self-care is a critical part of self-worth because it shows you that you value your own happiness and well-being. When you take care of yourself, you send a message to others and to yourself that you are deserving of love and respect. It's also important to recognize that self-worth doesn't mean you think you're perfect or that you never make mistakes. It's about acknowledging your imperfections and accepting yourself as you are. Recognizing your worth means you understand that you're worthy of love and respect despite your flaws, and that no one should make you feel less than for being human. You stop comparing yourself to others and start embracing your own unique qualities, knowing that you are enough just as you are. This self-assurance allows you to enter relationships as a whole person, not someone who is seeking validation or approval from someone else to feel complete. When you recognize your worth, you stop staying in relationships that leave you feeling drained or unappreciated. You understand that your happiness does not depend on someone else's ability to make you feel valued. Instead, your happiness comes from within. And as a result, you attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships because you now have the confidence to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values or doesn't contribute to your well-being. You'll stop settling for someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve, because you now know that you are worthy of a love that is mutual, respectful, and fulfilling. Ultimately, recognizing your own worth is about standing firm in the belief that you deserve the best, whether that's in a romantic relationship, friendships, or in life in general. When you value yourself, you set the tone for how others will treat you. You won't tolerate anything less than what you deserve because you know your value. You won't stay in relationships where your love and care are not reciprocated, and you won't settle for being treated as less than. By recognizing your worth, you give yourself permission to expect more, to demand more, and to receive the kind of love and respect that you truly deserve. A relationship should be built on mutual respect, communication, and shared values. However, one of the most telling red flags in any relationship is when you feel like you're the only one putting in the effort to make things work. A healthy, thriving relationship requires both partners to be equally committed to nurturing the bond. And if you're constantly feeling like you're doing all the heavy lifting emotionally, mentally, or even physically, that's a glaring warning sign that the relationship may not be as balanced as it should be. The first indication that you're carrying more than your fair share of the relationship is when you find yourself doing all the initiating. Relationships are partnerships, and in a healthy partnership, both people make an effort to connect, make plans, and show that they care. If you're always the one texting first, planning dates, or checking in, and the other person rarely initiates, it may be a sign that they aren't equally invested in the relationship. It's essential to recognize that relationships require both partners to be proactive. When you're constantly the one making the effort to keep things going, it can lead to feelings of exhaustion and frustration, because relationships are a two-way street. It's disheartening to realize that you're the only one working to maintain the connection, while the other person takes a passive role. This imbalance often extends to emotional effort as well. If you're the only one who listens, comforts, and invests emotionally, you might start to feel drained. A partner who values you will show empathy and care when you're going through tough times. They will take the time to listen to your concerns, offer emotional support, and try to help you work through problems together. However, when you're the only one doing this, it can be incredibly isolating. You may feel like you're putting your emotional needs aside to focus on your partner's, while your own needs go unmet. Relationships are supposed to be a space where both people feel understood and supported. If you're not getting that emotional reciprocity, it can leave you feeling undervalued, unimportant, and lonely, even within a relationship. This one-sided effort also extends to making sacrifices. In any healthy relationship, both partners are willing to make compromises and sacrifices to ensure that both people are happy and the relationship is moving forward. But when you're the only one making sacrifices, whether it's giving up time, energy, or your own needs to accommodate your partner, it can lead to resentment. It's important to recognize when you're consistently putting the other person's needs ahead of your own without getting the same treatment in return. This kind of imbalance can lead to feelings of frustration, as it seems like you're giving more than you're receiving. In any healthy relationship, sacrifices should be mutual and not feel like one person is constantly giving more than the other. If you're doing all the work in a relationship, you might also notice that your partner is not helping with responsibilities or tasks that should be shared. Whether it's household chores, finances, or emotional support, a balanced partnership means that both people share the load. If you're the one always taking on the lion's share of the work, and your partner is disengaged or uninterested in helping, it's a sign of neglect. This imbalance can create unnecessary stress and lead to feelings of frustration and resentment over time. When you're constantly picking up the slack, it can feel like you're not being treated as an equal partner, and this can erode the trust and intimacy that should exist in a healthy relationship. One of the most subtle but significant signs that you're doing all the work in the relationship is when your partner fails to meet you halfway emotionally, physically, or mentally. For example, they may not take your concerns seriously, brush off your attempts to communicate, or act like their own needs are more important than yours. This kind of behavior reflects a lack of investment in the relationship and a lack of consideration for your feelings. If you feel like you're constantly fighting to get your needs met, and your partner isn't doing their part, that's a strong signal that the relationship is unbalanced and unhealthy. This one-sided effort often results in a lack of mutual growth. In a successful relationship, both individuals should help each other grow and evolve. If you're doing all the work emotionally, mentally, and physically, there's little room for personal growth or development. It may feel like you're stuck in a cycle of giving without receiving anything in return. You should be with someone who encourages your growth and makes the effort to grow alongside you. When one person does all the work, it stifles the potential for the relationship to deepen and mature. Another aspect of one-sided effort is the impact it has on your self-worth. If you're consistently putting in all the work, it can make you question whether you're truly valued or loved. You may start to feel like you're not enough, or that your partner doesn't care enough to make an equal effort. This can lead to self-doubt and a loss of confidence in yourself and the relationship. When you feel like you're carrying the emotional and mental weight of the relationship, it can begin to affect your sense of self-esteem. It's essential to recognize that a healthy relationship should lift you up, not drain you. Ultimately, if you're always the one putting in all the effort, it's time to evaluate whether the relationship is worth continuing. You deserve a partner who is willing to meet you halfway, share in the work, and invest emotionally. If you're the only one trying to keep the relationship afloat, it's not healthy and it's not sustainable. A relationship should be a partnership, not a one-sided effort. Recognize that you deserve someone who values you enough to do the work, show up for you emotionally, and contribute to a healthy, balanced relationship. Don't settle for a dynamic where you're always the one carrying the load. It's time to take a step back and reassess what you need from a partner and whether that person is giving you the respect, effort, and care you deserve.